All right, this video I want to talk about the college experience, my experience overall, and what I think of it today. So, basically, right now, if you're thinking about going to college, all I'm going to say is don't go unless you know exactly what you want to do. You have a plan for what you want to do, you know what you're going to use it towards, and you're actually going to see it through. Because we all know out there that a degree is not a guarantee for a job. Honestly, the more I've thought about it in the last almost 6 years since I graduated, the more I've decided that colleges should either guarantee a job right after graduation or your money back. Or if you did loans, that a complete pardon from the loans. I say that because so many people are in debt because of it. Look, obviously, it's necessary to make sure there's proper certification and training for doctors, engineers, other ones, lawyers for the most part. Pretty much, yeah, I'd say lawyers should fall under the category of you need to have a degree and a very specific education to do this job. And I'm not just saying that because my sister's a lawyer and she'd be offended if I said that being a lawyer shouldn't require a degree because for the for what can be on the line in some court cases, you need a lawyer who knows what they're doing and that you know can hold it together in the courtroom. Because I know that the whole reason that they say you should never represent yourself in court is because you can get very defensive when certain evidence is brought up, etc., etc. Yeah, doctors, lawyers, engineers. Anything else should either not require a degree or it should guarantee you a job. Unfortunately, we don't live in that timeline. So anyway, my college experience. It all began 10 years ago next fall when I went to my college. I was a communication major. Yeah, see, I knew I wanted to make movies. I didn't really know what I was doing with that, and I wasn't as committed as I really should have been to actually getting things done because I also really wanted to be home by 5 p.m. to sit down and watch TV and play video games mentality. Yeah, that would be the 9 to 5 mentality, I think, in internet slang. I guess I had aspirations for that back then, but I also really wanted to make a movie, and I thought that college would help me figure that out. Suffice it to say, after 4 years, it did not. My very first semester, I took an acting class, and that was fun. I think I should have stuck with that, and who knows, maybe I'd be an actor today. I don't know if I'd be a particularly big name, but I'd be acting, I'd be doing something. And I'm doing this right now, and I really enjoy this because I get to just speak my mind. But yeah, I guess I had a hard time committing to doing anything out of 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 because of classes that start at 8:30. I wasn't really committed to what I was doing. Second semester, I don't think I took a no, I took one communication class because see that's another problem with modern college. They make you take other classes outside of your major, which I learned some things. I'm not gonna lie. Couple of psychology classes with a really good teacher that I'm gonna get to later. Those were pretty enlightening, and the teacher was really cool. But anyway, spring semester of freshman year, yeah, I didn't really do much with that whole thing of my film aspirations. My film aspirations actually started to get somewhere in fall semester of my sophomore year. This was in 2016, late 2016. I had this one class called Digital Film Production Fundamentals or something along those lines that you'd think was really cool, but uh someone else said that this is someone else's words, not mine. The teacher was, I guess, kind of was I guess even as almost as uncommitted to the craft as I was. And according to a classmate, he was kind of boring. His words, not mine. If you stumbled across this and you're watching this, those were the my classmates' words, not mine. Yeah, he was more of a part-time teacher, so he didn't really have office hours and such, but I really struggled with figuring out the different camera settings because as we were getting into deeper stuff compared to what I'd done back in high school, I had the simple point and shoot vi- video cameras, like a handheld camcorder. That's what we used. These were like DSLR cameras that we were dealing with, and we had to use sound effects and such. We couldn't even have dialogue in the short film that we made. I barely passed that class with a B, and I barely was able to make my final project, which I'll admit I used Pokemon Go as a basis for it. So what I did was I had my friend just one day just walk around our neighborhood and he would play Pokemon Go, or at least look like he act like he was playing Pokemon Go in the video, and I dubbed in a voiceover, which I got approval for because we weren't allowed to have dialogue, but we could have voiceovers. It was kind of a satirical Pokemon Go player nature or documentary. You know, it's kind of like a Pokemon Go player was the subject. That's the joke. It was kind of like the Smosh Teens in the Wild videos. But yeah, I barely passed that class with a B. I almost decided to switch to a psychology major because of that. Because that was also the semester I took intro to psychology, and I had the psychology teacher who I really respected a lot, you know? he clearly knew his stuff. In 2 different semesters, he both semesters I had him for a class, he would go on a rant against doing opioids, and the way he was like, "Stay the hell away from it," really spoke to me. That, and I got a perfect score on each of the written assignments. He said my writing was really good. Yeah, I that's where I started to want to be a writer, but I didn't really realize it because, again, I wasn't really committed to doing anything outside of the normal 9 to 5 hours, like professional or let me put it to you this way. I wanted to spend my nights and weekends watching TV and playing video games and not doing anything like what I'm doing right now with, I guess you could say, a side hustle. I don't think that was really a thing in 2016, the idea of a side hustle. Tell me in the comments down below how far back the idea of a side hustle goes. So yeah, I struggled through that, almost became a psychology major, decided to stick with communication. And then the next semester, I took a lot more communication classes. I was also taking film classes like criticism and such. Well, the stuff we had to write were called analyses. I remember from sophomore year across both classes. I know that the spring semester one was called art and actually I forget what both classes were called, but I can tell you right now, I watched The Graduate, Do the Right Thing, Singing in the Rain. Those are the only 3 I remember off the top of my head right now. Actually, spring semester 2017, sophomore year, I got all A's. Yeah, I was actually really impressed with myself. That was also the semester I got my driver's license and started driving on my own. It was junior year where I was really starting to rethink the whole college thing, because jumping back to the beginning for a moment, the only reason I really went was because I knew I wouldn't have to go into any debt because I was on a partial scholarship and my parents had a college fund that they had set up, so there was that. Basically, I was there to, quote, "take up space," as my grandfather put it. Jumping back to junior year, though, we have the that's where I started to, I guess, question my decisions because this is when I was doing that YouTube channel with the other guys during the fall semester. I also took a class about, I guess it was a prerequisite to doing an internship. And this is where I actually wasn't paying as much attention to college because I would skim through the books for banned books and dangerous ideas, which I kind of regret because I became a self-published author 4 years later. Honestly, I kind of want to get the audiobooks of the books from that. There was The Color Purple, Clockwork Orange, Tropic of Cancer. I know that one was more of a stream of consciousness one that I actually think I might try writing something like that. Like in terms of it being a stream of consciousness, recounting of particular situation in my life, maybe a written version of the year it took me to work up the nerve to ask out that girl, which that'll come up slightly in a bit. So, fall semester 2017, I was working the YouTube side hustle after having gotten started on that during the summer with three other guys who weren't in college, so they had more time to make other things while I did my coursework and then came in and did some work. This is where started doing a little bit outside the 9 to 5 hours. But here's the thing, it was my own thing. It wasn't anything sponsored by the college or anything or with a teacher. It was just me and three other guys, actually four total, four others total, working on short films that we took forever to come out with. See, I think that's why Andrew Tate had a point about how you need to have speed and efficiency for getting products out as a business, which I can tell you right now, he had a point about that with how I took from July of 2017 to November of 2017 to come out with our first short film, and we had a couple of others set to go. The story of that YouTube channel is a entirely different subject that I will get into in a future video, but right now, this is about college. So I tried balancing between those. Ultimately, that YouTube channel fizzled out by the end of my winter break between fall semester 2017 and spring semester 2018. Early 2018 is when my mom was starting to get on my case about getting a job, like an actual job or some kind of internship. Like, she was not going to let me just go without being employed that upcoming summer like I had all the other ones before that. Yeah, summer 2016 was the last summer that I had truly free summer, like free to do whatever I wanted and not have to worry about any kind of work. Because 2017, that's when I did the YouTube channel and got into the side hustle. And so over the course of spring semester 2018, between getting inducted into that honor society where I developed the crush on College Crush and trying to figure out what to do because I had gotten pretty much nowhere in the film concentration. So looking at where I was with what was called the CLAC requirements, that's Central Liberal Arts Curriculum, looking at where I was and how much more space I had for communication classes, since I, at that point, after that semester, I would have fulfilled pretty much, well, literally all the non communication requirements. I decided to spring for the TV concentration and see what happened because of the TV studio setup they had there. And I had prior experience thanks to high school. So it was in that semester I switched my advisor from a politics and history one to a communication one, particularly the film professor. I know, kind of weird that I switched to an advisor who was in the very concentration I had originally considered, but then changed my concentration to a different one, but he was a good sport about helping me figure out what to do with that. So we figured out a fall semester 2018 schedule, and I put in the effort to look for an internship. I found one at a public access TV station where I did an interview. It was really just a formality. I wound up getting the position because it was unpaid, so it was volunteering at one, but it was an educational one, and I was able to get 2 course credits for it because I had a stray credit sitting there from this 4-credit science class I took in freshman year. And then over the rest of that semester, I went through the whole thing with the early days of trying to ask out college crush, and then over the course of summer of 2018, I did the internship in the second half of it, which was from Juneteenth until the Friday before classes started for the fall semester. So that was 15 weeks of and even 15 weeks of summer from May to August. So it was the first 19th, 26th, second, 9th, 16th. So the first 5 weeks of summer, I actually got a break, which was nice. And then from Juneteenth onward, I was working in the TV studio for those course credits. Yeah, I would work. Yeah, it was on 2 nights a week and then Friday afternoon. Yeah, it wasn't as late into the night as the movie theater would be when I'd work there a year later. So I didn't really have any issues with working from, I think it was 5:30 to 9:30. All I know is I did enough hours by mid-August to earn those 2 course credits, and I was able to figure out a scheduling accommodation for my uncle's wedding in upstate New York, which I had to miss one of the Fridays for. I'll admit I was really dedicated to showing up the 3 days a week and then doing all that. It was also a convenient location for me, especially when my aunt developed late-stage cancer and she was back at the house that my grandparents own. So I was able to come visit her and then go straight to the internship from there, where I never told anyone about that. I was able to keep doing my thing without talking about that. Yeah, so after my uncle's wedding, my I think my aunt died. I went through the wake and funeral. I had to call out of the internship for the first time. My the TV professor at my college was very good about helping me figure out letting them know that I wouldn't be able to come in because again, I'd never had a formal job before, so I wasn't used to the whole setup. But I figured it out, did out, paid my respects, and then I went in for, I think it was 2 more shifts at the internship. The only person I brought up my aunt with was the older girl that I started forming a crush on that I decided not to pursue because I was hell bent on asking out college crush. I know the manosphere and the dating coaches would be like, huge mistake, bruh. You should have just asked out the first girl that you wanted. If you didn't ask out the original, you should have sprung for the one who seemed to like you or that you thought might like you or that you thought was worth a chance. Yes, I know. I made my choice and I choose to live with that choice. So yeah, I did that. Then senior year commenced. I managed to do the entire TV concentration across both semesters. I saw College Crush more because I only had one class with her in junior year. Part of the reason I went for the TV concentration, this is embarrassing to admit, but it's because College Crush was in that concentration. I thought, I have experience in this concentration. I could do the work and have a better chance to ask out College Crush. Yeah, my chance to ask her out, like where I finally felt ready to do that, was at the Relay for Life at the tail end of senior year. So in March of senior year, the student organization that brought that to my college came into the TV studio during a, I forget the exact name of it, but it's where we produced content for the college's own cable channel. They offered to, they asked us to form teams and fundraisers for the American Cancer Society. And because my aunt had died of late stage cancer the previous summer, kind of like in Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like Star Lord, realizing this was my chance to give a crap about something. So I made a one person fundraising team in my aunt's name. I was the third highest fundraiser. I won a special prize for riding a mechanical bull, outlasting the other person. And I feel like I honored my aunt's memory. And then ultimately, I finally asked out College Crush, and she said no. And I was at peace with that. Okay, I didn't really ask her out. I asked if she wanted to hang out, and she said no. And I accepted that. My advisor said it was good that I finally did it after over a year of working up the nerve. I think it was the whole Relay for Life thing and facing my demons with my aunt's late stage cancer and honoring her memory that made me, that gave me the confidence boost. Anyway, back to college and classes and such. I finished the remaining classes for communication and for the TV concentration. I was also seeking any job I could that was degree relevant. Either never heard back or kept on getting rejected. Was really disheartened that I wouldn't have a job right out of college. But I had my little alcohol-free party with my Henriotti after my final, which was on a Saturday morning. Yes, that's very possible to happen in college. I'm giving you a heads up if you're thinking of going. But I passed all my classes and then graduated and then went 6 weeks trying to find relevant employment before I wound up working at the movie theater. So, for those of you thinking of going to college, uh, don't unless you know exactly what you want to do. You have a game plan and you're actually going to commit to what you're doing. If you decide to go with a new major or something, cool. Just make sure you know what you're doing when you do that. I mean, who knows what would have happened if I'd decided to go through with the psychology major after all. Maybe I'd have a office job, or maybe I'd be in an even worse situation. Who knows? So yeah, I'm glad I didn't go into debt in my case because I can tell you right now, if I was in debt, I would be very, very disappointed in myself because right now I don't have anything to show for it beyond a couple of friends I made along the way. That's another thing I should have talked more about. But yeah, I have at least one friend who I still talk to regularly, which is why I have a hard time saying I completely regret going to college. Because if it weren't for going to college, I would never have met that friend. But at the same time, in terms of the practical elements of it, like if you remove friends and such from the equation, it was a complete waste of time. Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Remove the friend remove the friend making and the social aspect from the equation, and it's a complete waste of time. Unless you know exactly what you want to do, unless you are genuinely required to have a degree. I mean, one where there should be a degree requirement, like doctor, lawyer, or engineer. So, yeah, college isn't completely useless. Just make sure you go in with a plan and you actually stick to that plan. Don't go into debt if you can help it. Only go into debt if it's for doctor, lawyer, engineer, something that'll actually pay out and something that you'll actually use. So yeah, other than that, don't go in. Uh, so yeah, in terms of the finance stuff for that, don't go unless you have a significant scholarship, and again, you don't, and you won't have to go into debt for it. So if you end up not liking what you studied for, like I did, or you end up not being able to find a job, you won't have to worry about that. You won't have thrown away money, or rather, you'll be debt free. So I'm going to leave it here for the video. Comment down below if you're still thinking of going to college, because I'm not going to try and stop you, but you heard my advice. I would definitely only recommend it if you know exactly what you want to do, and if it's for a doctor, lawyer, or engineer or something along those lines. Comment what your college experience was like, whether it was in the mid to late 2010s like me, whether it was during or right after or the pandemic, or any time before. Give this video a like, subscribe for daily videos, and I'll see you soon.